Political Science, Kaduna State University.
Okay. So if I may call you an international affairs expert, am I right?
You can call me a lecturer in the department or a professor of Political Science and International Relations. Speak about masala.
Okay. So Prof, let's look at Nigerian foreign policies right from independence. Actually,
right from independence.
Yes.
That means we are going to spend the next 24 hours talking about.
Just in brief.
Okay.
Just in brief. Shortly after Nigeria got independent from Britain, it's like Nigeria adopted some of the foreign policies of the Britain, and later it keeps transforming it from 1960s, 80s, 70s, 80s down to 90s. So what are the main objectives of the Nigerian foreign policies?
I think it might not be true if we say Nigeria adopted British foreign policy.
Okay.
What really happened, in understanding the foreign policy direction of Nigeria, we cannot discount the historical factors that have shaped or the colonial legacies that have shaped Nigeria's foreign policy. Economic aspects, we embraced free market system. Politically, at the attainment of independence, we also embraced Westminster Parliamentary system of government. Then culturally, socially, English official language, and we try to imitate everything English. You understand?
Okay.
And thirdly, even the generation, the first and second generation of Nigerian military officers actually were groomed and trained in some of the prestigious British military establishments like Sandhurst and Aldershot and what have you. So that is one. And secondly, right from the one when Abubakar Tafawa Balewa took over the mantle of leadership as the Prime Minister, the first Prime Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, he actually spelled out some of the policy direction, like non-alignment, protection of the sovereignty of Nigeria, support for the freedom and liberation of all countries that actually were living under the yoke of colonialism, and generally solidarity with all black nations, as well as non-interference. Over time, especially after he maintained our non-aligned posture, even though some people felt that he was pro-West, but to me, as a student of international relations, I felt he was just being pragmatic. For instance, when French conducted its infamous nuclear test in the Sahara, Nigeria was one of the first countries that actually condemned French tests in the Sahara. Of course, the Casablanca and Morovia groups which polarized African leaders, some pro-West, others Nigeria teamed up with the supposedly pro-West nation. But after the unfortunate event of 1966, which led to the termination of the First Republic, the military took over. And initially, the government after the overthrow of the Ironsi, General Gawan actually maintained the robust, non-aligned posture of Nigerian foreign policy, but this time with a vigor, especially in terms of fight against the racist enclaves, either in Namibia, in South Africa, in Angola, and what have you. Unfortunately, the outbreak of the Civil War in 1967 forced the country to have a rethink in terms of its relationship with the Western world, led by the United States. They were banking on the fact that most of the military officers, like I have earlier said, actually were British products. They either finished Sandhurst or Aldershot and what have you. But unfortunately, the British blindly or shamelessly refused to support the federal troops or federal government of Nigeria.
So for looking at the time factor, let's go to the second questions. So the main problem of Nigeria nowadays is economic problem, and there's need for economic recovery. Do you think Nigerian foreign policy is now in line with the fact that Nigeria can use it in recovering its economy, particularly
Are you talking about the government of Alhaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
Yes, the government of Bola Tinubu.
They have come up with Alhaji, the ambassador Tukur actually explained to the people of the country, especially in some of the media engagements, the introduction of the 4Ds. That's development, democracy, demography, and the diaspora. Invariably, the idea of including diaspora in Nigeria's the situation of the diaspora in Nigeria's foreign policy drive clearly shows that apart from the desire for development and democracy, the government is actually trying to leverage on the people, on those that are in the diaspora, in terms of whatever, maybe in terms of actually trying to win their hearts and restoring back the confidence, restoring their confidence if there was any lost confidence. As I explained by President Bola Tinubu, Nigeria is now a changed country. They should come and actually invest, and not only invest, they should try to also encourage other foreign investors come and invest in Nigeria. The issue of demography, I think, if they are also trying to leverage on the demographic strength of Nigeria, maybe trying to borrow a list from the Chinese experience and Indian experience, and as well as Indonesia and Brazil, whose demographic strength actually helped them in the current in their economic rejuvenation. The demography was actually used, and it becomes actually an asset rather than a liability, as opposed to what we are experiencing in our dear nation.
So let's look at China-Nigeria relationship. China is now a factor to be reckoned in the whole world, as China engaged in infrastructural support to different nations through loans, grants, and other activities. So how do you look at China's relationship with Nigeria?
I see China-Nigeria relationship as very constructive, very productive. I do not subscribe to the idea that there is a new form of colonialism. This is a crude and cruel idea that is being spewed out by the
West
supporters of the neo-colonialists and imperial powers. They have their stooges and lackeys in Africa and the local media, who are now casting aspersion on the Chinese involvement in the nation's economy. Chinese have been involved in the transformation of Africa for years. The rail system in Tanzania and Uganda actually built over 4 decades ago were actually constructed by the Chinese. And they have started, actually, this engagement started when General Sani Abacha was in power. And also, we need to have, given the current current multipolar order, because whether anybody likes it or not, whether the United States likes it or not, whether any Western country likes it or not, there is an unfolding multipolar order which challenges the unipolar system that actually the United States and our allies sustained since the collapse of the former Soviet Union. And Nigeria actually should, rather than allowing smaller countries like, when compared with Nigeria, Ethiopia is a smaller country. It's a country of about 90 million people. Nigeria over 200 million. Countries like South Africa, Ethiopia, and even Algeria. Some of them have joined BRICS, and BRICS is seen as a counterbalance to the triangulation and domination of World Bank, in fact, the entire Bretton Woods system. Even the United Nations, if care is not taken, people might begin to question their relevance, continued relevance of the United Nations, not to talk of even the Bretton Woods system, which is fast crumbling.
So, Prof, recently there are coups at different African countries, particularly West African countries like Niger and Burkina Faso. The recent one in Niger, ECOWAS, with Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the leader, fought Niger on different occasions, but at the end of the day, it was turned to be a toothless bulldog. So, do you think it's still Nigeria maintaining its relevance in African foreign relations?
Are you saying that maybe if Tinubu had actually lived up to his threat of invading Niger, it would have portrayed us as a powerful country? Or you are talking about the sudden, U-turn that actually Nigeria made?
I'm talking about
the crisis.
I'm talking about a sudden U-turn.
Well, actually, what really common sense prevails. Decency and common sense prevails, and clearer understanding of the complexities and intricacies of the conflict of the situation actually prevailed at the end of the day. Initially, our president, despite the legitimacy that he enjoys, he was elected by the majority of the voters, of the people that came out and voted last February. He almost acted out a script prepared for him, or probably prepared for him by France and the United States. If we had actually invaded Niger, it would have been the biggest mistake of the church, in fact, of Nigeria's existence. It would have been worse than even the outbreak.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Of different values. It would have made people of Katsina or the entire Northwest and Northeast fighting and killing one another, killing their cousins and brothers in Niger, which would have really destroyed. Okay, I'm listening.
Lastly, let's talk about recent Nigerians' reaction to what is happening in Palestine. How do you view Nigeria's reaction? Is Nigeria make the right reactions, or is Nigeria overreact?
Well, to the best of my knowledge, my little understanding of international politics, especially given Nigeria's relationship with the Arab world, as a member of the Organization Islamic Conference, as a member of OPEC, and as a member that enjoys a great deal of respect